Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back. It's Wednesday, February the 26th, and it is 9:32 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we are going to get into the Q posts because I missed those. So there were posts from today and posts from yesterday, so that's what I'm going to cover in this video. Now, I don't have anyone to thank today. We didn't have any coffee donors, or I did get a couple of pieces of snail mail and I forgot to bring them over, so I will get those on the next video. All right, so let's jump into the QAnon posts and we'll get started at the beginning because it's always a good place to start. All right, I hope you're all doing well. Now, we're starting with drop 3882. Was Obama leading an insurgency against the United States? Well, of course, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see clearly that he was. So let's look at this. This is from the 24th of February, actually. So we're covering the 24th, 25th, and 26th. Now, I did cover some from the 24th, so I'm just picking up from where we left off in the last video, and we're going forward from there. Now, beneath this, first it says United States Interagency Counterinsurgency Initiative. So let's look at the link that he's giving us. And the link is not something we can read through because it's a PDF, and there's quite a few pages in it, so certainly not something I'm going to sit here and read to you, so relax, don't worry. There's 67 pages there, but we are going to pull out a few items from here. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to place this in the comment section in the first pinned comment so that you can go and download it for yourself. Of course, you can always go to the Q board and download it as well, but I will put that there for your convenience. And let's go back now that we know what this link is, and it says insurgency is the organized use. Now this is from the document itself that Q is quoting from. Insurgency is the organized use of subversion and violence to seize, nullify, or challenge political control of a region. Hang on here, I just realized that I'm not sure if this affects the overall volume or not, but just in case it does, I thought I better turn it up. All right, so the presidency of Barack Hussein Obama began noon Eastern Standard Time on January 20th, 2009, when Barack Obama was inaugurated as the 44th President of the United States. What country was the true intended target? Well, I'm not sure I can answer that, to tell you the truth, but let's go over here. This is Lisa Mae Crowley. She's a great person to follow on Twitter. She's got very, very good at decoding and so forth. She said, signed by, you said, Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State on 13th of January 2009, 1 week before Hussein inauguration, based on 8-year crime spree under Hussein. This appears to be a how-to guide on destroying America from within. Mishel Bachmann tried to warn us of the Muslim Brotherhood infiltration. Of course, nobody listened to her. Here, Mishel Bachmann at a press conference in June 16th, discussing what the MB, the Muslim Brotherhood, had planned for us, civilization, jihad. Sadly, Philip Haney, DHS whistleblower, whose book Bachmann was there to discuss, reportedly committed suicide. 187, well, I think we can just about guarantee that it was. It's just a little bit too suspicious. No Name chastised Mishel Bachmann for daring to accuse Huma Abedin as being part of the Muslim Brotherhood. So let's come down because we're not finished with this yet. This counterinsurgents guide posted by Q is something out of Orwell's 1984. This is extremely disturbing when you consider that it was intended for you and me. So when it's asking, I guess, what country was the true intended target, that's what I was thinking initially, was the United States. But then I thought, well, why would he have to ask us that? Because we all knew that he was targeting the US. Maybe Q is got another answer in mind, but apparently not. It is the US. That's who we wanted to take down. Excuse me. I was trying to yawn and hiccup at the same time, and I don't know what it resulted in, but it was weird. Okay, the information contest, the flow of information, intelligence, and influence is important to insurgents. As to counterinsurgents, a coin campaign should seek to limit the intel available to the insurgents through use of counterintelligence, deception, and, where possible, their physical separation from the populace. So their plan was to separate the insurgents, aka patriots, from the general population and re-educate. Think FEMA camps. This is insane. Well, pretty much everything that went on in the 8 years that Obama was president is insane. This is no different than that, but I have yet to be able to read through this in its entirety. I'm hoping to tomorrow. We'll see. But I am going to put that link there so that you can download it and peruse it at your leisure. All right, and this again is from the same document. It says, the information contest, the flow of information, intelligence, and influence is as important to insurgents as it is to counterinsurgents. A coin campaign should seek to limit the intelligence available to the insurgents through use of counterintelligence, deception, and, where possible, their physical separation from the populace. Similarly, the ability of the insurgents to exert influence should be restricted by physical separation by the preemption and timely countering of their messages. Well, isn't that what we're seeing? We're seeing part of this being done with censorship. It's saying the ability of the insurgents to exert influence. Well, how could patriots exert any influence if everything we talk about or bring up is censored? That is another way to, limit our influence. It should be restricted by physical separation and by preemption and timely countering of their message. Well, they haven't managed to physically separate us, but there is a real divide between the true patriots and the left, a huge divide there. And also, we are, our message, any message that we try to get out is immediately countered by a bunch of bots, by, the social media giants taking our messages down, shadow banning us, restricting us, pulling our accounts. So yeah, we're seeing this even though Trump's in office and doing a fantastic job from all appearances, we're still seeing some of this. So yeah, we can be really, really glad that Hillary did not get into office, because this would have been a continuation of that same plan. And, there was a 16-year plan to destroy America. We were 8 years in. Hillary would have gone another 4, cheated, gotten elected again. So she would have gone 8 years. And then who knows, there probably wouldn't be a United States by that time. Anyway, I'm sorry. I feel like I've got stuff in my teeth because I just had my supper really, really late and forgot to brush my teeth. Don't tell anyone. All right. Okay, so, and this says reactive influence, the importance of delegation. Event occurs, design message for the audience, distribute message, measure resonance of the message, and then this says superior cycle. It says control at the highest level, low tolerance of risk, and a lengthy approvals process will slow down this part of the cycle, handling the influence advantage to the insurgents. And just so you know, we are the insurgents to them. I'm not talking about Trump and Q, and I'm just talking about to the left. We are the insurgents. We're the problem. Now, this by Praying Medic, and another great person to follow on Twitter. Q provided the definition of insurgency from a document created by the Obama administration. The document was written to address insurgencies overseas. All the while, Obama concealed the insurgency he was facilitating in the U.S. on behalf of Arab nations. The executive summary is enlightening. While describing overseas insurgencies, it also describes perfectly what the Obama administration was secretly doing to subvert our national sovereignty. In a talk he gave immediately after the 2016 election, General Flynn said in a parenthetical statement that we witnessed a political insurgency. Interesting. Sorry, I had to make a preemptive strike on my coughing. All right, now let's go to the next, and it is drop 3883. 3883. High-profile CEO resignation, Disney's Bob Iger to step down. And indeed he did, along with a whole bunch of other CEOs, a lot. So this is big news. I mean, you look at all the companies that Disney owns, this is massive, like big time massive. Okay, breaking, Disney CEO Bob Iger to step down. Bob Chapek will be the CEO of Disney immediately. All right. And underneath here, Q gives us a link and also says breaking, Disney CEO Bob Iger to step down. Bob Chapek will be the CEO of Disney immediately. Many sources confirming now, live on Fox 2. He's not CEO anymore, though, and is leaving earlier than his contract says he should. So, and underneath that, Q says, the silent war continues. Now, let's read this by Lisa May Crowley. Ever since first big resignation of Alphabet CEO Eric Schmidt, same-day POTUS signed executive order regarding blocking property, thousands of CEOs resigned. Today, Disney CEO stepped down before contract end in December 21st, one day after Weinstein, Great piece by Nolte, North Carolina, read Disney's open secret. Everybody knew Nolte, but if there is a singular pattern, a black thread running through all of this, it is woven directly into the history of the Walt Disney Company. And we all know that. If you're not aware of how wicked and evil this company is, you should take a little bit of time to educate yourself on that. And I'm not saying that in a patronizing way at all. None of us can know all the information on everything. None of us. So never feel bad. If there's something that you don't know, usually you can find information on YouTube, lots of different places. But Disney is well known. Yeah. I could go on and on and on about that, but I won't. All right. And this is the link that he is sending us to. And so let's go out and look at that. And hang on here. It says breaking, Disney CEO Bob Iger to step down. Bob Chapek will be the CEO of Disney immediately. Exactly the same as Q said. Now let's listen to this.
Big news for Disney, announcing a new CEO for the company. Bob Chapek will be the CEO of Disney effective immediately. He most recently served as chairman of the Parks, Experiences, and Products Division. Now, Bob Iger, longtime CEO of Disney, will be assuming the role of executive chairman and will direct the company's creative endeavors while leading the board and providing benefit his experience to manage the transition through the end of his contract at the end of December in 2021. Now, Iger had extended his contract numerous times. It now does go through the end of 2021, but in a press release, Iger saying that with the successful launch of Disney's direct-to-consumer businesses and the integration of 21st Century Fox, he believes this is the optimal time to transition to a new CEO. So Chapek will be taking the helm. He's been at the company for the past 27 years, most recently running Parks, Consumer Products, and the studio. Now, he has been in various roles, and it seems like he's being selected for this role because of his extensive leadership, especially most recently expanding the Parks division into China, overseeing the launch of the Chinese park, as well as expanding the Disney Cruise Line business. Then before that, from 2011 to 2015, Chapek was president of what was formerly the Disney Consumer Products segment. Before that, he also ran the Walt Disney Home Entertainment division. So experience across these various divisions. Notable that Iger is stepping down from that CEO role before the official end of his contract. Disney is going to be talking about this much more in a conference call that's happening at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. After that, I will be sitting down with Bob Iger as well as Bob Chapek in an interview right here on the Disney lot to talk about that transition and what's next for the company.
All right, so let's go back now to Q, and let's come down here and read this by Dio Prasso Lieber. And he said, boom, Iger forced out or fired as CEO of Disney. Silent war continues. There is a link between Epstein Island and Disney. Yes, there is. Reminder of this QAnon post 3487. Also, Iger being out as CEO could be connected to the Disney VP who was sentenced to prison for child sex abuse. Bob Iger was added to Paz de la Huerta's lawsuit against Harvey Weinstein, and accused he and Disney of making decisions that allowed is it Weinstein or Weinstein? Anyway, to harm Miramax employees. Interesting timing on the cusp of the Weinstein verdict. Coincidence, on the same day federal agents raid fashion mogul Peter Nygaard's office for sexual exploitation of minors, Disney has announced its CEO, Bob Iger, has stepped down. Coincidence? Maybe, but probably not. All right, and let's look at this. Very interesting. Up here, if you will notice, and I'll point this out to you again, right here it says, the silent war continues, ... Q. I know you're saying, yeah, so, well, hang on. Hang on to your britches. Or your petticoat, whatever. All right. Now, if you look at this one, now this is going to be hard to see. I'm going to try and make it big. It'll make it blurrier, but hopefully you'll be able to see it because I know that you guys are out there on your tiny little phones. All right. So this is from February 8th, 2020. Okay. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 ellipses there. Okay. And he says the silent war continues, ... Over here, February 12th. 2020. The silent war continues, ... Down here, this is February 6th. There are 5. The silent war continues, ... Then, okay, that's the first one. That's February 6th. February 8th, there are 4 dots. February 12th, the same line, there are 3 dots. And now, with this latest tweet, there are 2 dots. Now, I know there are people saying, well, big deal, so what? Well, we know that Q doesn't put stuff in his posts for no reason. It's like everything means something. We may not even have a tenth of the meaning of some of these posts because there's stuff within them that means different things to different people. So this is obviously one of those things. He's wanting people to notice this because, of course, Anons pay attention to all this stuff. And what does it mean? It means we're getting closer to something, much closer. And look how much closer we've moved in less than a month. All right. I just think that's fascinating. And right here, this one, the latest one on 25th, just 2 dots. So I guess when we see one with 1 dot and then no dot, I don't know. I don't know what's next, but it'll be interesting to find out. It's always interesting to find out. Now, the ellipsis be shrinking Anons. I love this. The ellipsis be shrinking Anons. 5, 4, 3, 2 countdown. So we're in some sort of a countdown there. And what is that countdown to? I'd like to know. I think we're close to something, really. I do. And Trump seems much more relaxed, more confident, almost a little cocky. But that's him. I'm not saying that in a disparaging way at all. That's who Trump is. And he deserves to be cocky. All right. Now, this is drop 3884. 3884. Exactly 1 year ago, Q said a big name would fall after Weinstein. Q proof. Is it Weinstein or this is driving me crazy. I've got to. I always read my news and I don't listen that much to. Now I've started listening to Fox a bit again, but mostly I'm getting names and so forth from news articles because I love to read more than I love to watch. So anyway. Could somebody correct me on that? Somebody out there knows what the correct is, and I don't want to sound like a fool because, my gosh, you know, I said that comment yesterday about the cows, about them making leather out of cactus. They have now made this leather, which is, I guess, very, very good imitation leather from cactus. And then I said, oh, less animals would die. And then I corrected myself because, there were quite a few comments like, well, we don't, you know, round up cows and kill them for their hides, you know, and I mean, I know that. Really? Do you really think I don't know that? Come on, people. Anyway, so that's why I want this corrected, because otherwise I'll have 100 people correcting me saying, what? You don't know how to pronounce this? And I don't have time for all that. Ain't nobody got time for that. All right. So exactly 1 year ago, Q said a big name would fall after Weinstein. Q proof. All right. Now I've made this bigger over here. It was just like poof and it was bigger. And that is for the benefit of you tiny phone people. All right. This is Patton Oswalt. Now he is a piece of work. A piece of work. We looked at this before, but we're going to be looking at it again. The angry @ tweets from my hammer-toed followers opened my eyes. Pedo probe shaming hurts us all. I am a proud pedophile. Could you imagine somebody saying that and meaning it? Proud? Wow. Then over here, we've got another tweet by this fine, upstanding man. Not. My dong is super friendly and loves getting rubbed by children. And then he put hashtag career-ending Twitter typos. Yeah, it was probably supposed to be dog is super friendly and loves getting rubbed by children. But yeah, okay. So we have these two tweets up here, and that says, who will be next to fall post Weinstein? Big name coming? Nobody is safe. Dark to light. These people are sick. Q. Now this was 02/25/19. And this happened, this tweet is February 25th, 02/25/20. So exactly 1 year to the date, Trump posts this and says, now isn't that interesting? Q. So I think we all thought that it might be someone like this guy, but really, perhaps all along it was Bob Iger. 1 year ago, 1 year ago today, who will be the next to fall post Weinstein? Big name coming? I wrongly guessed Patton, but he's not a big name like Iger, who owned Weinstein's production company for many years. And that was from Lisa Mae Crowley, and this from Dio Presso Liber, SunQ2 on Twitter, confirming the 1 year Delta post from 2/25/19 drop, and that Bob Iger is next big name to fall post Weinstein. Future proves past. Patriots in control. Yes. Now, 3885, we are on now, 3885. Senate fails to pass Born Alive bill that would help babies who survive abortions. Can you imagine? The baby the mother wants the baby aborted, but the baby is born alive. And this bill, had it passed, would have made it mandatory to give aid to that child. The child has survived an abortion, it's been born alive, and it deserves medical care. But it was struck down. So if a baby survives an abortion, you just leave it, struggling in its own blood? I don't know. But they don't have to give it aid. And they can actually kill that child. Unbelievable. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like we tend to think our country is so moral and upright and takes the high road. We are going to have to answer to what we've done to millions of children in this country. Really. We may not answer for it in this life, but we will in the next. And you might say, well, I've never had an abortion. I never did it. Doesn't matter. We all stayed quiet. Most of us stayed quiet, myself included. Now, yes, I would put something on Twitter or this or that and tell people I disagreed with it, but what did I really do to stop it? What did any of us really do to stop it? Some of us did more than others, and I'm not saying that if you've had to have an abortion, there isn't forgiveness for that. There is, absolutely. You can go on from that. But this shows where our hearts and souls really are. Senate fails to pass Born Alive bill. That's a sad day. By a vote of 53 to 44, the Senate has failed to pass the Born Alive Abortion Survivor Protection Act, which would have required doctors to provide medical care to infants born alive after an attempted abortion procedure. The bill, sponsored by Senator Ben Sasse and co-sponsored by 49 of his fellow Republican senators, needed 60 votes to overcome the legislative filibuster. Just 3 Democratic senators crossed the aisle to vote with Republicans in favor of the legislation: Bob Casey Jr., Joe Manchin, and Doug Jones. All 6 of the Democratic senators currently running for the 2020 presidential nomination voted against the bill. Cory Booker, Sherrod Brown, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, along with independent Bernie Sanders of Vermont. 3 Republican senators did not vote on the bill: Kevin Cramer, Lisa Murkowski, and Tim Scott. According to their communications director, both Cramer and Scott missed the vote due to flight delays. During the floor debate over the bill this afternoon, several Democratic senators said they plan to oppose the legislation because they believe it limits women's health care options. This is the actual intent of the bill. Reducing access to safe abortion care would threaten the health of women in Hawaii, said Mazie Hirono. Who listens to anything she says? I was going to say something really nasty. I'm glad I didn't. This bill is just another line of attack in the ongoing war on women's health, says Jean Shaheen. Now that's a cool name, Jean Shaheen. Anyway, Tina Smith, I actually knew somebody, this is the truth, when I was, I was young. I worked with someone called Silky Hanky. That was her name. Anyway, I digress terribly. Tina Smith, Democrat of Minnesota, said the Born Alive bill would override physicians' professional judgment about what is best for their patients, and it would put physicians in the position of facing criminal penalties if the judgment about what is best for their patient is contrary to what is described in this bill. Well, isn't a baby also their patient? If there is a mother that's having a child, isn't the child also a patient of that doctor? It's a human being. If it's been born, well, even if it hasn't been born, but in their definition, if it's been born, it's human. But how could it not be in the best interest of the baby to save its life? Give it up for adoption, whatever. I don't get that. I don't get somebody being so adamant about killing their child that they wouldn't allow, if it was born alive, to be saved and given up for adoption to a loving family. Why not? Unless they're afraid of it coming back on them at some point and showing up 20 years later like, knock, 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 you're my mother. I don't know. But nothing in the legislation forces doctors to provide any particular treatment to infants. It merely requires that they provide medical treatment. It mandates that doctors exercise the same degree of professional skill, care, and diligence to preserve the life and health of the child as a reasonably diligent and conscientious healthcare practitioner would render to any other child born alive at the same gestational age. In other words, the Born Alive Bill would have done nothing more than insist that healthcare providers treat children born alive after attempted abortions the same way they'd treat any other infant. Several Republican senators pushed back against the Democrats' efforts to portray the bill as an attack on women's healthcare. I know a lot of opponents of this bill sincerely believe that the talking points that they read from their staffs, Sass said, we heard speech after speech after speech that have nothing to do with what's actually in the bill. My colleagues across the aisle are debating a bill that's not in front of us. They are talking about healthcare for women, which is abortion, said Joni Ernst. This bill does not address abortion. What this bill does is address the healthcare of a baby that is born alive after a botched abortion. We're not talking about abortion, folks. We're talking about the life of a child that is born. I urge my colleagues to picture a baby that's already been born, that's outside the womb, gasping for air, Sass asked. That's the only thing that today's vote is actually about. We're talking about babies that have actually been born. Nothing in this bill touches abortion access. But of course, you know the Democrats are going to make it about what they want to make it about because they don't care about the facts. They probably didn't even read the bill. Anyway, so let's go back now to Q. So Q says, and rightfully so, these people are sick. I think we could agree with that. If you are having an abortion for whatever reason and the baby is born alive and is viable outside the womb, why would you be opposed to them rendering assistance to that child? Evil. All right, and this is drop 3886. Democrats blocked Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act in the Senate. So let's go look at this. Much along the same lines. Democrats blocked Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act in the Senate. This is from February 25th, and 41 Democratic senators voted this afternoon to block the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, successfully filibustering the legislation and preventing it from receiving a final vote. The bill would have required doctors to provide standard medical care to newborn infants who survive abortion procedures. Okay, so this is pretty much what we just read. I don't know where that popped up from. In Bernie's defense, we did teach them to read before we executed them. Yeah. Okay, let's go back here. So, yeah, interesting. And all right. Yeah, this is exactly the same thing as we just looked at, but anyway. All right, let's go on now. And let's look at this. Drop 3887. Again, this is from February 25th. Biblical locust swarms and rivers running red around the world. Part of biblical signs. Anyway, and this is what Q says. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. and pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Q. So we have this, and we have, let me see here. Let's go out to this first. This is the link that Q left us. And we're going there now. It says it's going to be biblical. Revelation 9:3. Then out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and power was given them as the scorpions of the earth have power. This is in Saudi Arabia. And I showed this actually yesterday, not realizing that it was in a Q post. But look at those locusts. And if you know anything about, I've studied the Bible extensively. And so when studying that, I studied about the locust and how that the locust, basically a sea of green in front of them, and behind them nothing but destruction. There's nothing left. After locusts go through, there's nothing green left. Nothing. They eat everything. They destroy everything. So yeah, and mentioned many times in the Bible. Now, this is a natural phenomenon to some extent. To some extent. It does happen. It seems biblical to us, but the people that live over there, they're used to this. It does happen, but not to this extent. Not to this extent. So let's go back now and see what Q has to say. And actually, we're going to come over here. It says, this takes us back. Okay. Says, this is interesting, especially in light of Q drop 2222 on the 20th of September 2018, when an anon asked, "Are we alone, Roswell?" And Q answered, "No. Highest classification. Consider the vastness of space." Q. In today's drop, Q uses Ephesians again. It's not Ephesian, it's Ephesians again, to let people know the battle is not between people, but with spiritual forces. The concept needs to be properly analyzed and synthesized, going way beyond the belief system and the scientific materialism. So, yeah, a lot of people believe that there are alien beings. I don't. I believe that there are beings. Absolutely, there are beings that are not us, but they are spiritual beings. They are rulers and principalities in heavenly places, but not. There are fallen angels as well, and I do believe that some of these fallen angels do try to masquerade as aliens or whatever you have to fool, because that is their job. They want to fool mankind, and that is why our struggle is not with flesh and blood. It's not flesh and blood. It's what is influencing flesh and blood. What is influencing flesh and blood? Spirit. The spirit world influences flesh and blood. If you don't believe that, you look at somebody that, I mean, I've seen people that were alcoholics living under a bridge. No kidding. True story. I know this person. Alcoholic living under a bridge for 30 years, was an alcoholic and was homeless for many years of that. And suddenly turned their life around, been sober for well over 10 years now, totally turned their life around, is the most loving, caring person. How is that possible? Well, I'll tell you how it's possible. God. And that's the thing. If God can influence people like that, why can't the enemy influence people like that? The enemy being, Satan, what have you. Now, I know a lot of you don't believe that. I realize that. And you know what? We can agree to disagree. I'll still respect you, absolutely, and your beliefs. It's just that this is what I truly believe. And I do believe it's what Q believes, because he uses a lot of spiritual symbolism and so forth, this taken straight out of scripture. So I think he does have an understanding, absolutely, when he says we're not alone. We're not alone. There are other spiritual beings in this universe with us. Absolutely. Okay. Now, and let's look at this from Dio Presso Liber, Sun Q2 on Twitter. This is going to be biblical. Locust equated with demon of southwest wind, known to bring famine and drought in ancient Mesopotamia religion. That's true. Q reminding us the battle and what we are seeing has a major evil spiritual component to it. All right. And this by Praying Medic. Q posted this passage from Ephesians chapter 6. It's a reminder that we do not fight against other humans, but against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Q posted the passage from Ephesians 6 exactly 1 year ago tomorrow. All right. Now we're going to go on. And this is from the 26th, which is today. And let me see, what the date on this was. 25th. Okay, so we're entering into today's posts, and here we go. Alrighty. Okay, this is drop 3888, 3888, redrop the armor of God's prayer. And it says, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that I can read it. Okay, now it says, and this is, Q is placing this in here from February 26th. No, actually, this is Q. This is Anon putting this Q post in here from February 26th, 2019. And this is drop 2904. So it's a drop within a drop. A year old. The armor of God, finally be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and having done and after you have done everything to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions, and with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Q. All right, then this is drop 3889, and again, it's from today. And we have this Anon, I guess, and he's got something over his face, and it says, where we go one, we go all. And this picture was taken in India, obviously. And Q says, thanks for the wonderful visit, Q and Q+. Love, respect, and support from India. So this person here, whoever this is saying, thank you for the wonderful visit, Q and Q+. Love, respect, and support from India. And Trump and Melania and President Trump were treated fantastically there. They said so themselves. They were welcomed almost like they were gods. You know, and I don't mean that in the literal sense, but they really were. I mean, that stadium held 100,000 people and it was full. And that's a lot of people. So Q responds down here and says, love and light, patriot. Have faith and trust in yourself. Where we go one, we go all. Q. If you hear something in the background that kind of sounds like it could be your cat, it's not. It's mine. That's Sammy. And Sammy does have a big mouth. Now, I love Sammy. I love me some Sammy, but he's got a very loud mouth. And when I sit down to do something like this, he tends to, you know, object a little. But he has food, he has toys, and he has Xander to play with. And, you know, so don't think I'm abusing him at all. That cat is probably more spoiled than 90% of the cats on this earth. All right. So this from Lisa Mae Crowley. This truly is a worldwide movement, and bad actors know there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. We are awake, and the whole world is watching as President Trump and team are fighting for all of us. Thank you, India, for the love and respect you showed for our POTUS and FLOTUS. Yes, I think that when you treat, the head of the country with respect, you're treating the people of the country with respect. That's how I feel. And I think that India showed the U.S. a great deal of respect. All right. And here we are at drop 3890, 3890. U.S. military troops pose next to U.S. flag. Now, again, this is from today. And here is a picture of troops. Now their faces are a little bit blocked out because they don't want us, we don't want to post where our troops are and who they are and all that. But anyway, Q says, Godspeed, Q. And Lisa Mae Crowley said, did a reverse search of this bada pic. Oh, badass is what she's pick, Marines in front of an Osprey, and found it was posted before on 18th of February 2019 by an Anon in Bread 6703, and again by an Anon on the 29th of March 2019 in response to Q drop 3306, reminding us less than 10 have the full picture. Only 3 non-military people are involved in the Q group. There are less than 10 people that know the full picture, and only 3 are non-military. So 7, well, it says less than 10, so we don't know how many, but 3, only 3 are military. All right, well, that is the end of the Q drops for today, and that is going to wrap it up. Now, I do have 2 other videos prepared, but I'm going to hold off on them until tomorrow. It would take too long to explain why, but anyway, I think it's going to just be 1 video tonight, but I'm going to try to bring those other 2 that I've prepared at least tomorrow, because I want to get them out there, and yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate your comments and suggestions and your contributions and your prayers, mostly your prayers. Thank you so much. I don't know. It's a wonderful group we have here. So thank you, and I will talk to you guys later. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay well, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites.